Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation, along with
CJ Lou from the Fired Up with CJ show.
Woohoo!
Hallelujah!
Oh my gosh. Where are we going today? If you've ever wanted more health, happiness, and success, or hallelujah in your life, then do we have the What Would Love Do show for you. Today we'll talk about making heart-based decisions, what they look like, why they're so important, and why choosing out of love truly changes everything. That, plus we'll talk about acupuncture, cranial sacral work, a walk on the wild side, a walk on the subtle side, articles for publishing, morning daily wows, online classes, soul retrieval, letting go, flash visits, strong arming the pookie, bear turn signals, humbled on two wheels, skating bliss, a 40-mile donut quest, and what in the world is Chipmunk TV? Don't ask, it's Jessica. So welcome back to the show, CJ. Are you ready to shine?
I am ready to shine.
Woohoo!
I'm doing my Colorado cowboy lasso.
Oh, that reminds me. The gentleman,
roping it in.
The gentleman who lives down the hill from us owns a big western wear. Oh,
of
God.
course he does.
And he's got beautiful horses, and he's on his tractor a couple of days ago, and to me it was hilarious. It wasn't so hilarious to anybody else, but to me it was really funny as I'm riding past him on his tractor on the other side of the fence, and it's just down our mile-long driveway, and I'm waving to him, and he doesn't see me, and I'm waving to him, and he doesn't see me, and I'm waving to him, and finally he sees me, and he waves back, and we share a moment, and I ride right into the ditch.
Oh no! Ow!
And so I used to mountain bike a long time ago, so I managed to get the front wheel, so I went in fine, no problem. But I'm there laying in the ditch laughing. I'm putting a thumbs up, but I'm 3 feet down in the ditch, so neither of them can see I'm okay. And I'm just like, well, if this isn't an entrance that he will remember for a lifetime.
Okay, that's hilarious.
I was working hard for that connection, CJ.
This seems like something you'd see in a 1980s sitcom, where the person's like, hey, just falling into it.
Totally. It turned, 2 inches, literally 2 inches off of the road is a ditch that's an irrigation ditch for the horses. And so all you have to do is go off 2 inches.
Well, that's
and you're
dangerous.
Going 3 feet.
That's just bad design. I don't fault you for that.
It means in the winter time, we will be extra careful to keep it on the road with the cars.
In New Jersey, I don't know if you had this where you lived in New Jersey, but we also had these ditches on the side of the road. I'm not really sure why. And I remember one snowy winter day coming home and saying to my dad, hey, I saw a picture in the news. There's this picture, they always show horrible storms, and then they show a car in the ditch.
Always.
And I said, Dad, I think that's your car. Is it? He's like, no. But in fact, it was his car that was in the ditch. And he was
trying not to let you know.
Yeah, and I was like, that's funny because it has the same license plate as our car. So many other people just like yourself have fallen into a ditch. I don't even know why they design things like that. I'm sure one of our listeners will tell us why.
So it was all good.
Okay, so what's Chipmunk TV?
Oh, so we put in a couple bird feeders, and we still have to get the ratio right to try the hummingbird feeders, since we got hummingbirds here too.
Yeah.
So we set up bird feeders outside on the deck, coming from our Hawaii days. I want to call it the lanai, but out on the deck. And at first no birds came, and then a few chipmunks came, and then we moved it from the patio tables to hanging so the chipmunks didn't eat all the stuff inside of it. But now they get the droppings from the birds. The birds don't eat all the food. Some of it spills on the ground. And the cats are going, particularly Lumi, are having a field day, getting to watch chipmunks 12 or 14, however many hours of daylight we have, right outside the window. In fact, they've made eye-to-eye contact, and Lumi is just blown away that there are chipmunks, all chipmunk, all the time. In fact, I'm wondering if we have to close the curtains to get him to eat, because he just wants to watch the chipmunks.
Oh, that is so cute. Wait, does Lumi want to eat the chipmunks, or does Lumi just want to watch
No,
the
Lumi
chipmunks?
just wants to watch
here?
the chipmunks. Now, Now, Sir Meowsers in his older days, meaning in his younger days, certainly they didn't have chipmunks where we were on Maui. I don't even know if there's such a thing as a Maui chipmunk or Hawaii chipmunk, but he wouldn't have had any problem putting a chipmunk on the menu.
All right, enough of that. What's this donut quest?
So we had on Dean Radin talking about donuts here a month or two ago when we were talking
Like the round circle things that you eat?
Talking about the round circle and talking about being able to transmute the energy in the donut. Turns out he has a fantastic sense of humor. And if anybody knows my diet, it is like Mr. Squeaky Clean to an
super
extreme.
clean, yeah.
No sugar, no anything. And we had on his interview, and I said, when the opportunity is right, we'll get a donut. So I have had half a donut to celebrate our arrival here it was almost a mini donut. It was good.
Oh, I can't stand donuts. No, they're disgusting.
No. But we went on a bike ride last weekend, our first long adventure, and we said we would see if there's a homemade donut shop, but we didn't found one. The closest one is a good 20 plus miles away. And so Jessica says we are going to go this Saturday or Sunday, probably Sunday. We'll go for a long bike ride tomorrow, and we will go on a donut quest. And we will ride to the donut shop. And it's symbolic of letting go a little bit, is really what it is. My diet is still incredibly squeaky clean, although Jessica was just in heaven this week that we picked up some organic cookies and had organic cookies in the cabinet. Just the fact of the organic cookies in the cabinet made her feel good. It was kind of a childhood remembrance because usually the way I treat food is out
of sight, out of mind for me.
Yeah, well, if it doesn't exist in the house, I'm not going to eat it.
Right.
And so when I go shopping, I make sure that I don't bring those things home. Now, with the cookies, I said, I don't want to go to the cookie aisle, Jessica, because I'll end up taking something home with me because there's just too much fun stuff around here. And she dragged me to the cookie aisle, CJ. She brought me right to the cookie aisle. How's that for love and support?
You know what? My nutritionist said that, we have this kind of hunter-gatherer thing going on. And so if we know where it is, like, so we're hungry, our primitive instinct is going to say, I remember there was a cookie on the second drawer next to the pantry. And so, boom, you go. And she said, what you have to do is make it super inconvenient. Like put it on the top shelf of like where you have to get on the stool and get it. And then there's like an impediment to getting that cookie. Or I think you should have Jessica hide the cookies. So you never know where it is.
Oh, the good thing is I do have this time around a lot of self-control. So at max, I think I've had a cookie a day, and the cookies are a double stuffed Oreo kind of cookie that I actually take out the inside. I don't actually
those are
have
kind of disgusting, I think.
The inside. I just wanted a little bit of chocolate.
Right.
So, but where was I going with that? When you hide it, when you change where it is, when you make it difficult, you take yourself out of autopilot. And so then you are conscious of your decisions. And I think that's what it's about. It's when you have a cookie, you have a chip, and you don't even know you've had it, and then you have the next, and then you have the next. That's your body's desire to, put on weight for the winter because you don't know when the next nut is going to be around.
Right. Especially if you're hungry. It's at 2 or 3 o'clock time when you get kind of hungry, if you've had lunch around noon. And then you're kind of scavenger mode and whatever is easy. Like if a double stuffed chocolate Oreo is on the lower shelf and you can reach it easily, guess what you're going to grab for? And if you're really hungry, guess how many you're going to grab for? 2, 3. So I think it's a combination of that and then eating enough during your meal so that you sense when you're mindful enough to know when you're hungry so that you don't eat 10 Oreos but just eat one. That's at least my life lesson.
I've got a lot of apples around, and that's typically my go-to fruit. I just wiped out the oranges. I'll be getting more of those as well because I'll sit there and I'll go, oh, I wanna, and I'm like, why don't you have one of these instead? And I look at everything as having a positive, I won't call it a negative effect, but food is thy medicine. And so the more positive goodness I can get into myself, the better.
Yes, I like it. Well, I've been trying to add mindfulness in all of my activities. So I thought of you today when I was biking. I was taking a spinning class. I don't do a lot of outdoor
Yeah.
biking, and I've been challenging myself to be in a meditative state
Cool.
24/7. So how I can actually walk to the store
Mhm.
and tune into my heart for me, but tuning in towards the center and then specifically finding that still point. I'm doing it right now. And finding that still point within myself. And then, so I was doing that during spinning class. And it was so interesting because I was watching, she'd say, okay, try to get your bike at 95 RPMs. And normally I would be going, okay, come on, Lou, you can do it, like that kind of thing. And I thought, now, how about if we just say, you can do it, like, you don't have to do it. You can do it if you want to do it. Just, get to 95 RPMs. And I would just tune in here in my heart. And then I was like, why don't we see if we can do this with ease? And so I was spinning I was in my heart, and I thought, if you want to do this body, go ahead. And I had energy in the tank. So I got to like the 95 RPMs. And then she said 105. I'm like, do you think we can do it? It's like, yes. And it wasn't this efforting. It was just purely being in my heart and going, this could be fun. Let's see what happens when I go to 105. And at the end of the class, I was really out, like I was out because I hadn't had breakfast, which probably wasn't a great idea. But by the time I'd done this grueling spinning class, around 45 minutes into it, I thought, there is nothing left in the tank. I cannot do any more. And I just thought, leave. Like
Mhm.
I would always be like, oh, I feel so bad. Just like pedal slowly, just because you don't want to. And I said to the teacher, I said, when does the class end? Because I don't know if I can make it. And she's like, you can leave whenever you want. And I was like, okay. And
Thank
like I
you.
did the next song and then just left. But so the old me would have pushed myself to finish till the end. But the new, more conscious, more aware me, which was just centered in my heart and focusing on the stillness, was like, no, you need to leave now. And I just left, and it was so awesome. So anyhow,
Oh.
that's my new thing.
Well, it brings up several points. First off, the main point that I wanted to talk about today is the question, what would love do? What is a heart-based decision? And so we got offered to do a bike race tomorrow that's in town here that goes up to 12,000 feet, or actually in Aspen, next town
Wow.
over. It's something that I would normally go, absolutely, would love to do it, sign me up. I'm not ready. I just got here. It would
Right.
be a
Your
lot of
body's not
work.
acclimated to the high altitudes, just
Yeah,
in case people don't know.
it's and more than that, I haven't spent that much time climbing, and so I know my feet, and that's my I won't even call it a weak link, but that is the link that I'm working on the most because I'm building
Mm.
up the miles running, I'm building up the miles hiking. I've just gotten on a mountain bike for the first time, and so I would have very sore feet for like a week afterwards. Is that a loving thing to do? And I would say probably not at this point. I
Mm.
want to, but let's wait. What would love do? It says, be kind and gentle right now. Now, going to
Mhm.
Michael's wacky world of physiology and an exercise physiology. Old school Michael also would say, come on, you, why don't you pedal
Get
your.
going. You can do it. Yeah. Pedal to the metal,
However,
Michael.
when you yell at yourself that way, come on, Lou, what you're doing is you're putting yourself in a fight or flight response. Your
Yeah.
heart rate goes up and you go, oh, I'm going faster, my heart rate's higher. But you're actually not going any faster. You're burning the candle on both ends. You're burning your
Right.
matches. If,
Yes.
in the other hand, you go to
Really good
that
point.
centered place, you go to a place of love. I love to repeat, ironic, I love to repeat a mantra, typically a mantra of gratitude when I'm writing, but it could also be a mantra of love. When I'm writing and when I'm writing faster, and it takes me back into a rest or relax response, and I'm going to actually be able to go much faster
Mm.
without appearing to push myself. It's the whole philosophy of go slow to go fast, of why when you swim, if you fight to swim faster, you're fighting against water heavier than air, you're going to go slower. You put on the brakes. If instead you relax and go into that flow state, which is what you did,
Mm.
everything opens up. And
Mm.
so it changes everything when you can wrap your mind around the idea that the drill sergeant approach has a limit. And beyond that, a drill sergeant approach may be good if you need the motivation to get started or something.
Right.
But when you want to see what you're capable of, then driving yourself actually puts on the brakes and has the opposite response. And I'd say that's in everything in life.
Mm-hmm.
You can drive yourself, push yourself to start a business, to build a business, to work for a company, to do any of these things to a certain level. But then to take it to the next level, it's going to have to come from a place of love, of passion, of inspiration, not from a slaying yourself, or you crack and pop eventually. Usually in the middle of the night when you're going, what am I doing this for? And you just throw up your hands in the air.
You know, it's funny because I have something related to that in a slightly different context. I have this online workshop that I told you about that I'm doing with women who are going through career transition. And today our module is on strengths. And so I've been reading up all the different books on strengths. And it's a very similar idea. And the idea and the intuitive hit that I got when I was doing my morning pages is that strengths are when you have like a really strong muscle, right? It's strong, it's bonded. You can actually do whatever the thing is because you're coming from a place of strength. So the whole idea of what is more loving to do in a job, always working on your weakness, your weakest muscle, and getting it to try to get stronger. No, because why? Because you will get, and I'm sure I would love to hear your analogy because I think that there's probably something about muscles and stuff, but I was reading about what I read about muscles is that, so you have unconscious and conscious muscle strength. And so when you're working with a place of strength, there's efficiency, there's movement, there's a dynamism, and in addition to those things, there's just kind of a happiness. So when you're doing things that are in your strengths, you're going to be going ahead, you're going to be moving, flowing, and then just plain happy. So what was already easier becomes joyful. You get in a flow state. And similarly, if you're working on something that is your weakness, trying to get where your weaker muscle, you get fatigued, tired, and probably sometimes get injured if you actually are working on your weakest muscle and you're not careful about it. I know you want to say 1,000 things. I can see it in your face.
So working on your weakest muscle, working on it, good. We can bring that up. My weakest muscle years ago was my focus and attention. I was the ADD poster child. I've actually turned that into a great strength. My focus is just, I can go to the head of a pin and stare at it for hours now. My focus is there. But it took a long time and I didn't force the process. I allowed it to come on. And now it's a great strength and a great joy of mine. However, if you simply focus on your weaknesses, you become for quite a while mediocre. And it's no fun. If you focus on your strengths, those are your God-given gifts. That's what you came here with. If you focus, and whatever your belief system is, those are your gifts. You focus on your gifts. That's where your passion lies. That's where you're on fire. That's where you're inspired. That's where you take off. If we were a world that focused on our gifts rather than focusing on making everybody fit into that same round hole, it would be a completely different world. So that's something I did with cycling. I was a road cyclist for many years. When I was a better hill runner, I was a better speed skater, I was a better mountain biker. But for some reason, I felt I had to keep going with the thing that was actually my weakest link. I was good. I got to race in Europe. I was good, but it wasn't what I was best at. The only race I won in Europe was when I was off of the road bike and on my mountain bike. Should have told me something.
Yeah.
But we all get caught in this rut of doing what we feel we should be doing. I loved running hills. I'm living in Colorado. I'm going to get to explore this. Oh my God, heart on fire. I would run hills. I would run Pikes Peak at least halfway up 2 or 3 times a week in the winter until wherever the snow line would stop me when I was in college and when I lived in Colorado Springs. But then I would give up my love because I was supposed to race bicycles. And in the summer, I'd be on the bicycle. Focusing on the weakness is heartache. focusing on your strength, whether you're the best or whether you're the 100,000th best. But if it's what you like to do and where you shine, go after that with everything that you've got. Doesn't mean you can't work on the weakness. Get those weak muscles stronger.
Well, it's interesting because I was just reading this article about there's a book on called The Extraordinary Leadership, and they've done all this like multivariate analysis on leadership and what makes great leaders. And what they found is that leaders are those that focus on 3 to 5 strengths. And in fact, they found that when leaders focus on one strength, that they literally looked at the perception of others within the organization about them. It wasn't as strong as like maybe, let's say, I can't remember the exact numbers, but like 25% of them thought that they were strong contributors in the organization. When they focus on 3 strengths,
bear with
80%.
me 1 second. I hear a Sir Meowsers with claws on the studio door trying to come in and join us, CJ.
Okay.
Hold that strength thought, because this is his strength. This is Sir Meowsers for those who haven't seen him, who wanted to come in the studio and was letting me know, weren't you, Sir Meowsers? I know you were. And we'll see how he does in the studio now.
Okay. So this is for you, Sir Meowsers, because I know you want to know. So if someone focused on one strength, they had like, 20% or so, 25% perceived them positively. By the time they got to 3 strengths, 80% of the people viewed them positively. By the time they focused on 5 of their greatest strengths, it was something like 90% of the people considered them really good leaders. So it's about focusing. So this is for people who need data to prove that this is true, that when you actually focus on your strengths, other people can see it too, and you're more productive. They literally looked at their strengths and productivity as well as the perception of them as leaders. I thought it was fascinating.
Whoa!
Yes, but they say that what was interesting, and I'm curious because I want to go back to your question about your comment about focus, because what they say is that you can't have any fatal flaws. If you have a fatal flaw, you have to get it to good enough scenario, because if you have some fatal flaw that's actually critical to your success, it's going to tank you, even if you do have these strengths. So how did you get to good enough, or you said now it's your strength, you took your weakness and made it a strength. So what's your advice on that?
I had never actually thought of the term fatal flaw before. This is a new concept to me. If I was to think about it, certainly weak links get to be strengthened. I would certainly agree with that. I do believe on outsourcing when you can. And for this show, when we started, we couldn't. We had to figure out how to do all of it, weakest link included. So that's a great question. I know when it comes to focus and concentration, I believe almost everything is the flip side of the same coin. Over time, you can take your greatest weakness and make it your greatest asset. If you're not organized, you could become exceptionally organized. If you're not good at math, guess what? You can rewire the mind. Chances are you can become tremendous at math. But there's an economic cost to it. Do you want to put in the effort? For myself, the lack of focus that I brought to things didn't make me feel good. Being scatterbrained, being all over the place, having such a monkey mind was not, it was too much of a wild ride. And so part of my healing and my journey was going into meditation, was going into mindfulness, was starting to be able to witness the squirrels running amok, the chipmunks running amok in my brain, and then say, hey, wait, we can do something about that. And because I was so observant of my, quote, weakness, I was able to completely flip it on its head.
See, for me, it's funny. I have a client who runs a accounting group. And she has, when I run the assessment, she has a personality where it looks like it would be really hard to do that kind of detailed work. And she said she trained herself to do it. And she said, I don't really know if that was the right thing to do, but I did train myself to do it. But sometimes I wonder, had I focused on the things I love doing versus the things I hate doing. So for me, my my trip into being in finance was like that. Because in order to do exceedingly well in finance, you
Mhm.
have to have a high attention to detail and like it. I do not have a high attention detail, nor do I like it. So I can stretch all the way to make that happen. And I learned how to do it. But it was so, like I said, when you focus on your weakness, it's exhausting. It was fatiguing. And I constantly felt I was underwhelming people with my work because it wasn't focusing on my
Mhm.
strength.
It goes back to what I was talking about earlier. What would love do? So I'm not very detail oriented myself. I've gotten a lot better. I am certainly not. I wouldn't enjoy that kind of work. I don't believe. And so, can I get better at it? Yes. Obviously, there's an economic cost. Would I truly enjoy it? What would love do? Love would not want me in a detail oriented job because it wants to be expansive. It wants to be
Hmm.
hyper creative. It wants to be messy and in the mud and getting to play. And forgive me if I'm going to scratch for a second. I've got Sir Meowsers hair apparently all over my face now. So love wouldn't point me down that road. On the other hand, with the focus and concentration, love wanted me to find some peace. Love
I could
wanted me
see
to
that.
succeed in all areas of my life, and not being able to focus and concentrate was certainly holding me back, or feeling like I was spun and pulled in 1,000 directions, too many radio stations on.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, because here's the distinction between what we're talking about. There are certain things that will just bring you happiness, right? So for me, I'm very proactive. And when I overuse that, it actually burns me out. So there's almost an overuse of the strength. And when that happens, I don't move into stillness. So all of what I've been trying to do over the last couple years is move into stillness, not because I'm actually good at that, but because it somehow makes me whole again. So I hear what you're saying. So for you, the focus makes you whole again. And for me, even though stillness is my nemesis almost, like my weakest muscle, it just brings me more wholeness, and integrating that into my life has made it richer. So it sounds like that's kind of the same thing for you on focus.
Yeah, and it becomes a foundation. We can be as creative, we can be as all over the place, we can be as over the top energetically as we want. But if we build that foundation underneath us, we have a very stable platform. And
Hmm.
so I needed that platform so that I can be up and over the top and back down and
Mm.
off to the side and back. And it brings me back to center. Is it the sexiest thing? Ooh, I'm going to go meditate for 4 hours.
Right.
Woohoo! Actually, on an airplane, God, I actually do love it. But most of the time, it's good, but it's not
Right.
over the top exciting. We had on a guest about the life of Yogananda this week, and from Autobiography of a Yogi, and he was so excited to meditate. That was his thing. How much closer can I get to God now? How much closer can I get to God now? That
Wow.
was his juice. It isn't my juice, but it is my foundation.
Mm.
I go to stillness, I touch the stillness, hopefully bring more and more of that stillness back. And like you, I want to be in that spot in some way, or remembrance all of the time. But then it allows me to do my woohoo in
Right.
whatever way that looks like.
Yeah. So what I'm getting from this, it's almost like how would I describe it? These are not strengths, or to me, they're not strengths necessarily as maybe skills of in human development almost, or a spiritual path towards awakening oneself. That if you don't have these things, like, if you don't have focus, if you don't have stillness, um, if you can't be in your heart, those things may not affect you at all at work. They probably do as well because they affect your spirit. But there are some fundamental, I guess, are they skills? I'm not sure what they're called because they're not talents or strengths. They're just kind of, if they're seeming like skills. If you don't have those skills, it it means for a less fulfilling experience throughout life, I think.
I don't
I don't
know.
know. I don't know. I'm hypothesizing. I'm teasing it out. What do you think?
I'm going to go and throw a complete monkey in the wrench, which is
Okay.
I think of students and adults with severe learning disabilities or somewhere on the Down syndrome scale, for instance, who I don't know where they would rate as far as their focus or their attention or this or that,
Mm,
but they can be the most present and God connected and happiest, in a sense, fulfilled human beings because they are living in that heart space, even if they don't have that quote unquote skill.
yeah, that's a good point. So maybe it's the things you need in order to be present, right? For me, I need stillness.
Yeah.
For you, you may need focus. I also need focus. So it could be
And
there
those
may be
those
some
words I'd
fundamental
even
things.
use interchangeably. So focus and stillness would go hand in hand with me. I had zero stillness. I had zero focus.
Hmm.
Now I couldn't run the show or do a single interview if I didn't have boku buckets
Right.
of
Right.
both of those now.
Yeah. Interesting. I have to say something that I just love life. So going back to your comment about wanting more health, happiness, and success, and going with your heart. So I have this workshop that I'm doing in a couple hours from now, in an hour from now, and I thought, oh, I really don't have enough time to walk for with my friend Kelly
Mhm.
yesterday, and I said. I texted her the day before and said, "Sorry, Kelly, I can't make it. I'm just too busy." And then I woke up the morning, I'm like, you know what? No. Like you can't throw like I don't want to be in the habit of throwing friendships under the bus. You know what I mean? Commitments and friendships under the bus so I can get work done. That's not the right way of going about life. Like when you can't honor your commitments like that are important to your heart, right? Then somehow there's something off. So I wrote her saying, "Let's go back." And I woke up early thinking that that would solve the problem. It didn't. I was still by the time I met with my friend Kelly way behind in terms of what I wanted to do. And so we talked, and during the talk, we had a conversation about online classes, and because she's taken a bunch of online classes, and I said, "Here are the issues that I'm having with my online classes," and she has taken so many online classes that she, during half of her walk, gave me like all the gems that I needed to address every single issue that I needed to figure out before the next day today occurred. And had I canceled that walk, it would have taken me a lot longer to arrive at the answers. But in a half an hour, I was able to do the walk, connect with my dear friend Kelly, and answer the questions that I had in the queue to figure out. But I can't. But I figured I didn't have enough time to do. But I got it in less time, and I got better answers by just following my heart. So there.
Woohoo! I love it. You were rewarded for doing, we'll call it the right thing. There is no right thing, but you went with
No,
a
the right
heart
thing for
based
my heart. Yeah,
bingo.
the
You
right
went
thing for
with a
my heart.
heart based decision. What would love do? Love would go on that walk. And it just so happened that the universe provided you with a reward to remind you that you don't have to do this because you're going to get some specific knowledge on it. You take the walk with your friend.
Right. Right, I didn't know that was gonna happen,
Mhm.
but it happened, and it happened in the most divinely inspired timing and way, and so the same thing with this conversation because I thought, "Oh my gosh, I don't know if I should have an interview right before I need to get my mind all straight on this, this topic that I'm gonna be launching. I've never done this class before." And so now instead of, this interview being stressful for me, it's just further going deeper and deeper and continuing the conversation that you and I are having now and rolling into that at 3. I mean, it's just I love the world sometimes. It's so awesome.
Woo!
Yes. So tell me a little bit more about your more morning daily wows. What's happening with you?
Well, the daily wow. So we do our daily words of wisdom, and we have that on our patron page. We also have some of it on our Facebook page. And I admittedly have been struggling, if that's the right term, with getting them done on a daily basis since we moved here with time zones and
Mm,
everything. It's been exhausting. And if I
mm,
asked myself, what would love do? It wasn't that love would stop doing them. It would have a more structured home for them. And
Mm.
so now I have said it's hard for me to do them in the morning. I don't want to be in camera first thing after I've done my
Yeah, it's hard.
meditation and stuff. And yet I said, let's go for it and see how it goes. It seems like a loving thing if at the end of the day they're already done. And I've
Mhm.
been doing this for 3 or 4, maybe 5 days now. It feels so much better. It is a loving thing to have it officially in the calendar, to know before you go out at this point, before you do your book reading, that your daily words of wisdom is done, makes life so much easier. And I am so, so thankful that now I can finish my day, I can finish my coaching or my interviews and stuff, and I don't have to go, oh, you still get to do your daily wow.
Right. So you do it first thing in the morning, and you just created a structure
Relatively.
around it? Okay,
So,
but
I
there's a
have my morning
structure.
routine. There's a time that I do it
Ah.
before I jump into my coaching calls, before I go out on my runs, or before I go, whatever is that big chunk of time after I've done, I do my meditation, I do my automatic writing. We have these pieces. And in fact, we have just a few weeks now till our magical morning routine for busy spiritual seekers program comes out. So I have these pieces, but then before I dive into my work, whatever that is, get the daily wow out of the way. Front load, front load, front load is the most loving, kind, and gentle thing in the world I can do for myself.
That's nice. It's nice to actually have a structure. Sometimes we do it's funny. We need structure, and we need to try lots of different things to before we arrive at the right solution. So I don't know how many different ways that you tried before you got to the
Many.
solution of many. Okay. And so for me, I've had this for like 3 years, my neck not being able to turn fully. And I went to the chiropractor, and like every month it's like, you know, and then went to get physical therapy, and I'm doing all these exercises for my gait and all this stuff. And finally I went to my chiropractor, and he's like, we're at the end of the road. I'm actually looking at the assessment, and your biomechanics are actually much better than people your age. And like, I don't know if I can make it any better unless you come in here like every day, or something really. And I thought, oh, wow. Like I'm being read the riot act by my chiropractor. But what I realized is that instead of these kind of gross movements, and I'd been trying all these different things, I needed to go more on the subtle side. So I started doing Feldenkrais, and I started doing cranial sacral, and I started doing acupuncture, and just trying to find the right mix. And Feldenkrais was good, but it hasn't gotten me fully to exactly where I want to go. And cranial sacral was amazing, but again, and I did acupuncture yesterday, and it was like pop out, like or maybe it was a
Sir
combination.
Meowsers is attacking my books.
He is. What does that mean?
That means he couldn't find a comfortable place on a chair.
Oh.
This is why he's not usually in the studio during the interviews. Bear with me 1 second. He pushed in the box of oracle cards. I have pulled them out in case you want me to actually pull a card.
I think we might as well. Sir Meowsers is an enlightened being, so let's see what he says.
So we have here from Alberto Villoldo, Colette Barron-Reed, and Marcela Lobos, we have the Mystical Shaman Oracle Deck and Guidebook. And so we will see which card Sir Meowsers would have pulled, and going along the theme of what would love do here. And let's see here.
This is actually in the spirit of one of the things you talked about, letting go.
I have let go in this house. And you're right. You try, I like to say, use the kitchen sink at this point. So you come into a new place, you're completely out of your routine. You try one thing. It works great. It doesn't work, try another thing and another thing.
Keep on going.
Your neck and back hurt you. You try one, you try the next, you try the kitchen sink. Never identify with it's not going to get better, or I've tried everything out there. There's no such thing. You just keep trying.
Yeah, I went from gross to subtle to energetic to who knows what's going to be next. Meditation. Okay, did you find the card?
Well, I'm in the deck. One card is sticking out. Why is one card?
Okay, pull that one.
Well, no, it's flipped over. I don't know what that means. Completion. I don't know though, but let's put that back in. I don't know why a card is flipped over, and maybe that was meant to be it. But let's ask the deck, what is Sir Meowsers trying to tell us here? And we shall pick one card, and that card is the Jaguar.
That's so funny because I was thinking he looks like a jaguar. He wants us to be complete, and he's a jaguar. He just gave us a sentence. Please finish up the interview, Daddy, so I can get food or whatever.
Well, I understand. Sir Meowsers is a big, strong, black cat with golden eyes who really is a miniature jaguar.
Yeah.
And I have pulled the card with a big, black cat with golden eyes. What are the odds?
I know. I almost said to you, well, he looks like a jaguar when you pulled him, a black jaguar, when you pulled him up and I was looking at him and he was just staring into the camera.
The jaguar is the protector of all life in the Amazon. And in times of fear, she brings courage and certainty. Jaguar is the top of the food chain, yes, Sir Meowsers, and never becomes prey. With great stealth, she can track her mark from a distance and not be seen or heard. She moves gracefully through the jungle, relishing the abundance of the rainforest, fearless and at ease. Jaguar knows the way beyond death, is the master of the shadows, blending invisibility between light and dark, night and day. Jaguar calls you to explore beyond the walls that confine you, to go outside your normal routine, which is what we were talking about, to push your limits and boundaries. He's back at the door. Wow, what an interview. She is delivering an invitation from your own future to investigate the unknown, to venture into the mystery and dark places you have been reluctant to explore. Toss all caution to the wind, CJ. Know that your Jaguar instinct will serve you well, and Jaguar is not going to let us go on this interview today.
Let the Jaguar in!
If I let the Jaguar in, the Jaguar may just want out again.
I don't know what else to do.
I'm going
Have
to
the Jaguar pick the card.
I'm going to pretend the Jaguar. I did not hear the Jaguar right now. I did not hear the Jaguar. I did not hear the. And I love him so much. And this is unusual behavior. I think we experienced this once with you and I, maybe 2.5 years ago in New Jersey on one of our first interviews. He wanted in, he wanted out. I don't even know.
I think he's trying to speak to us. Honest to goodness, he's trying to tell us something. He's trying to. So what's the completion card mean?
The completion card. Now, what's interesting is the card was flipped over, and they say when the card is flipped over, you're supposed to read the medicine. So if I go to the completion card, clinging to the old form will only bring decay. When fruit is left too long in the vine, it rots. You know that it's time to move on. Hey, wait, I've just moved on. Yet are reluctant. Do not be afraid of hurting anyone's feelings. Remember that you are responsible for your actions, not the actions of others. Mourn what is lost so you can move on. Do not be sad. Be like the sun at midday who shines brightly, neither longing for sunrise nor dreading the dusk. The essence. All things have a beginning, a middle, and the end. This is the nature of life, the seed, the flower, and the fruit, and all human relationships. Completion suggests the fullness of the moment and the need to transform an old form into a new one. The invitation. You have finished a cycle. There is no more growth or benefit from hanging on to the old. In regard to relationships, I remember now, we got this card before we moved. In regard to relationships, it's time to honor what has been and find a new form for the future. In your ventures, it's time to reap your harvest. Completion is a time for celebration. It's the end of summer when the fruit is ripe.
I like that. Does that relate to something? How does that resonate with you?
Well, I think we've just completed the completion cycle. We completed a 7-year journey from meeting. I guess 9 years ago we met in Boulder. We moved from Boulder 7 years ago. We traveled around the world. You know, we lived in Taos, Maui, Jersey, North Carolina, and then back to Colorado. It was a completion. And I feel like we're coming into our Jaguar power now. We are really coming into our strength on a level like we talked about last week. I don't even understand. It's so beautiful. And so I feel like there is a lot of letting go of the old. And maybe part of that is letting go of some of that routine, of letting go of, there's definitely here a letting go of letting go of letting go and just allowing. So for instance, one of the jokes I made at the beginning was strong arming the Pookie, which is, I said, do you want to go for a hike a few days ago? And she goes, no, not really. I'm like, okay, you don't have to go. And she's like, you're twisting my arm. I'm like, I am not twisting your arm. You're dragging me out there. Okay, I'll go. I'm like, you really don't have to go. She ended up taking on this just monumental, epic hike. She's like, well, you dragged me out here, so we're going to go to the top of the mountain and beyond. I'm like, I did what? I did nothing of the sort. But I just let go. I'm like, all right, I wanted to get back for work. That's not happening. I wanted to get back to keep my feet fresh. That's not happening. I'm just going to let go of everything. And in this next phase of our lives, I feel a lot of that. Lots of greatness is coming from letting go, from surrendering. That's what the heart would do. And so we have completed, and I feel like we have completed a time where we were doing a lot of driving and striving and trying to control. There's a lot of, honestly, fear involved in starting a show and holding on. How's it going to go? The interviews this, the interviews that. And now that completion, I think, is allowing for a sense of relaxation.
Nice. For me, what's coming up is that I've been evaluating, I took on that job a while back, which was for a friend of mine, and I worked my tail off, and it was very curious how when work, formal work came back into play, all of my hard-earned skills just kind of like went to the bottom of the picking list. And I just kind of always did more for other people and for the sake of work and performance and value than taking a stance that was about ease and about love and about connection. And it is interesting. The very first session I did in this workshop, there was all these technical issues that I was learning Zoom, and I was trying to figure out where all the files are and all this stuff. And I was kind of in this, this heady space. And I started the workshop off in this heady space, and then just got and threw all the relationships, all the things I know about coaching under the bus. And I now, because I keep on circling around, like I did this when I had that job. I did that the next year when I was doing these workshops, and now I'm doing this online workshop. And what's interesting is I'm not as I'm looking at it each and every time going, are you overworking? Are you working too much? Are you doing more than you need to do? And so I feel like I don't know, there's a sense of completion, I think. Yeah.
You and we've seen this time and time again. You go over and above and beyond the call of duty to the point of hurting yourself, honestly.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
To get things, quote unquote, right for others, when my guess is, and this has probably been borne out by experience, right for others was either a lower bar than you set, or if you hadn't run yourself into the ground, it may have been even more special. And you're learning to come at it from that heart-centered place. And that we all have our challenges. Mine, I talk about it on the show many times. It's the screw-up gene. It's this sense of I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, something in there that comes around and around as I'm spiraling upwards. Yours is I need to give, do, and this has to be right. And I think you're working on that tremendously. Yeah,
and so for going back to what we said before, going, okay, I'm going to meet with my friend Kelly and optimize for a walk, and I got the solution. Yeah, and I got the solution, and I think as a result, I got into a better place than had I actually sat at my desk and strived to make it happen. Similarly, I was going to hang up the phone for my 3:30 meeting, which is an hour and a half from now, and write this article that I was striving to get done today. And it's like, no, I think I'm going to meditate and focus on connecting with people and just saying something off the cuff. It may not be perfect. It may not be hugely researched. I did enough research that I know what I'm talking about at this juncture, and just be done with it. It's one of those things that I would have before hung up the phone or in an interview and just like run around like crazy. And now I think I'm going to go get a nice cup of iced tea. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to look over our notes. I'm going to think about our conversation and the information that I was gathering, and just let's see what comes up. And then I can write the article later if I still want to. It's just I don't need to write the article.
I want to pull out the completion card again, CJ,
Okay.
because you've just let go of the old and you're moving into the new, much more of this heart-centered place, heart-centered for yourself, because that's where it all begins.
Yep.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Sir Meowsers! Who would have thought?
The Jaguar knows all.
Now Sir Meowsers is like, finally, he's just like flopped out on his back, like, oh my god, so much work to teach you people something. Mr. Meowsers calm now, or is he still scratching?
No, he's calmed down. He's calmed down. Apparently, you got the message.
I got it. Thank you, Sir Meowsers. And you got the message.
I got the message.
Oh, could this show get any weirder, Michael?
I'm sure it could. I'm not sure we need it to, CJ.
All right. Where are we on this list?
I mean, we got acupuncture, cranial therapy, walking around
articles
outside.
for publishing. Articles for publishing.
Morning daily wows.
Oh, soul retrieval. I can talk about soul retrieval. Articles for publishing was that you or me? I can't even remember.
Doesn't matter at this point.
Okay.
You got a flash visit for your son, so we'll go with flash visit of the son and maybe a little humbling, and we'll call it good.
Okay.
And how a flash visit from the son relates to what would love to.
Oh, yeah. So my flash visits from the son. My son came, and I had all this work, of course, that I was going to. Which is why I was a little bit stressed now, because I thought I probably, should have. It would have been less stressful to actually do some of this work last week. But my son was home and from college, and so I thought, I'm going to just focus on him. Like, what would love to focus on my son, who I haven't seen for a while. Okay, can I give you one more on the soul retrieval? Because it's really
cool. Go.
Okay, so I went to a class with soul retrieval. It's a shamanic idea that anytime you get a trauma, of which there's like a large set of things. It's like you can have a physical trauma, like I bumped my nose, and like it could be traumatic enough. It could be an emotional trauma, like, I saw this particular person get killed. It could be these awful kind of traumas. And then what happens is a part of your soul kind of floats away. And so soul retrieval is going back and pulling all those little bits of yourself that have been scattered along a timeline in your life and pulling them back and putting them back in your body, in your being, in your soul. And so what was interesting to me, I've been trying to write this one article about the death of my dad. And what's weird is I keep on writing other articles, and somehow it like circles back to the death of my dad. Or I write this article about something and it like circles back to the death of my dad. Like it's all circling around. And so finally I cut and paste all of these little pieces that I had been writing about in these 3 different articles, 3 different times, right? And I cut and paste it into one document, and I thought, okay, it's time to edit this thing. And I read the articles, and it was like that scene from Jack Nicholson in The Shining when he reads a piece of paper and it says red rum, red rum. That's it. I've been basically writing these same stories.
That's cool.
Over and over. I was like, I'm a crazy person. I'm just writing.
You asked how the show could get any weirder? Here we go.
Stories over and over again. And I thought, wow. And then I realized, so then we had this soul retrieval thing. And what I realized is these stories are like capturing my dad and capturing like little bits of my soul. And holding on to these stories is not releasing my dad. So his soul can be complete. And it's holding little traumatic pieces of my soul. And so I've just been letting go of all these, like, you know what? I can love my dad and not have to hold, onto these stories that are traumatic. I can just like be in my heart and love him and free him from having to be part of this construct. Because in that model, you're holding on to that person and a part of their soul with the stories, as is holding a part of my soul captive. So when you just let go of the stories and you can be in love, you can be free. So, okay, that's my piece.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Soul retrieval. It was beautiful.
Well, it's an important It's an important part of the coaching work, I think, that both of us do in many different modalities. Is all of the wounds, all the traumas, all the little pieces that we've left scattered around along the way, where either energetically or cognitively, one way or the other, we get to pick those up and become whole again. And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with us, but we don't even realize that little things, particularly as kids, little things have such a dramatic impact on us. And if we can heal those wounds, we feel completely different,
Yeah.
radically different.
Yeah. And this is more about heart, but freeing your heart.
Mhm.
And, because in one level, I could say, isn't it really loving that I care so much about my dad that I'm holding on to these stories? But in some ways, it's not loving. I may love him. I may feel like thinking about him is an act of love, but I'm holding on to little bits and pieces of his soul. That's not loving. It's not freedom. It's not unconditional love.
So
Yeah.
coming back to Sir Meowser's card, the completion card, and letting go at the end of a cycle.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Oh, Sir Mousers. I do feel like I'm finally, when I finish writing that article, I really just want to be like, I'm going to write the article and send it with love out into the universe. And who knows where it will be published. Hopefully it'll be published someplace. But yeah, it's kind of an ode to my dad, but one in which will hopefully be completed with love and freedom.
Woohoo! I'm not sure. Do we need to cover anything else? I guess I'll give one little fun story. We'll do the humbled on two wheels another time. But we went hiking last weekend, and it is just at every turn, around every turn, Jessica goes, "All right, do you want to say it now?" And I'll be like, "What? What?" She goes, "We live in this place." Like she's trying to drive home how right she was. And she was so right. This is where we belong. We went out on this beautiful hike, started on the back side of town, and we climbed up into the hills a little bit, followed first some power lines, then got past that and out into real deep into nature, followed along an aspen grove, and then a little stream running through the hills, and ended up into a larger aspen grove. And we're wondering when we should turn around. And we kind of put that question out into the universe. And I said, there will be some distinct point at which we turn around. And a few minutes later, we heard, I'm not even making that sound right, but I can't even do it. Forgive me, everybody. It was a bear in a nearby tree that was probably eating some honey or something.
What? What kind of bear? Did you see? What the heck?
Oh, Jessica goes, "What kind of bear it is?" I'm like, "It's a Colorado bear. It's kind and friendly. It's not a grizzly." I'm like, "We can keep going. It's not on the trail. It's off the trail, or turn back." And she's like, "I think this is one of those geographic markers. I think the bear is telling us to turn around." We're in Colorado.
Is it a sun bear? No, or some bears there?
No, there are black bears and brown bears, but no grizzly. And I even went online. We came back and looked up bears in the area, and the whole article or the whole thing from the city wasn't talking about the danger of bears. It was talking about locking up your trash so the bears don't get in any trouble. So it would take us, going chasing the bear down, or going, "Where are your cubs? So we can get between you and your cubs. Let's see what kind of trouble we can get in." Other than that, they want nothing to do with you. You want nothing to do with them. But it was such a cool experience.
Oh my gosh. Wow. You've been so blessed you definitely have a connection to nature. For sure. It's beautiful. I love that story.
It's
and I love that Jessica's like, "I think that's the signal that we were looking for."
But usually I'm the more conservative one. That time she was, but then out on that, you strong armed me on this, so I'm just going to drag you all across the continent. I'm going, what in the world? What has gotten into you? Apparently she's got the Rocky Mountain high. She is high on the thin air.
Yes. I can't. I have to come visit you. I love that
You
area,
have
and
to.
it seems like you just there's a certain opening that's happening when I'm talking to you. Do you feel it? I don't know. There's just this kind of opening.
If I put a mirror on myself, I'm calmer. My coaching has been at a much deeper level. I'm more relaxed about things. Um, I had a great time with Jessica last night, which is almost unheard of in this experience, which is I have a love hate, I guess. I don't want to say I hate anything, but I'm not enamored by the idea of trying to figure out where to fit things into my calendar. It is
Hmm.
a very um, rich looking calendar, shall we say. And I don't wear busy as a badge of pride. We're working on peeling that back and peeling that away. In fact, I had a guest on about busyness earlier today, and I don't see busy as a good thing in general. Let's see how, you know, be focused, do what you get to get done, but not chase your tail 24/7.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
last night we needed or got to go over the whole calendar and look big picture where everybody and everything fits in over the next couple of weeks. This with Jessica could be a very stressful experience. I'm tired. I've had a long day. Whenever you want to put one more thing into the calendar, that's the opportunity for the fight or flight mechanism going, oh my God, what are you doing to me? It's just not our favorite activity to do together, particularly late at night. And I just had this urge to make this the most special, loving experience in the world I could. I had just finished a 3-hour photo shoot for an upcoming project of ours, which is actually usually a very stressful event. Um, Unscripted, on camera, answer this, answer that. I had done that the best I'd ever done, just really relaxed into it. And then follow that by hours of calendar work. And I was just 100%. She asked, "What did you do?" And I said, maybe it was a talk with a gentleman we call the Wizard. Maybe it was a talk with him talking about how we create all of our worries, fears, and concerns. We create everything all of the internal turmoil. And I said, I was choosing not to create any of this in our
Mm.
time together. And I wanted to approach her with as much love as I could. So each step of the way, I'm saying, thank you for asking about that. I love you so much. Let's look at that. And I got halfway through this process. I'm like, this is really cool. We're doing so well at this. You're doing so well at this. And it was just such a heart-centered experience where typically it could
Mm.
be the opposite. I guess that is a good way to end the show. That is a
Yeah.
what would love to. And maybe that's what's going on being here. I hear you, Sir Meowsers. You're back. You're giving a one more curtain call. Wow. He's now crying at the door.
Oh.
So what we're going to do is we are going to wrap this up, and I am going to bring him on camera one final time as the true star of today's show. So do you have any last words of wisdom you want to share, CJ?
No, I love Sir Meowsers. Let's have him close the show.
All right, I'll bring him back on. I'll see if I can. No, can I throw the headphones on at that point? And
Wait,
so,
little paw.
oh, the dignity, Meowsers. I know. Here we go. And so for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler and
Sir Meowsers and CJ Lou. Fired Up with CJ show.
oh my God, no cats were hurt in the making of the show. Jaguars, they may have hurt. No. For everyone out there, I will use Sir Meowser's voice. For everyone out there, this is Sir Meowser's saying, "Be well, have fun, and above and beyond all else, please put me down from this. Give me my dignity back and feed me."
Woohoo! Arms up like that.
I don't know if I can get his arms up safely. He is well endowed with armor or with weaponry.
Okay.
Thank you. Shine bright. Woohoo! I think she's on the floor. You are on the floor.
I'll just be like your Meowsers.
Oh my. Blessings, everyone.
The most ridiculous episode.
But you know, it just may help your event later this evening.
Oh my god, I love this horse. Alright, that was hilarious. I'm actually crying. I'm laughing so hard. Okay. Pretty soon we'll have ghosts coming in.
But funny ones. They're only gonna be the funny ones. Keep coming.
I have no idea how to edit it now. I have no idea what to do for editing this video. I'm screwed. I'm not even gonna edit it.
The
It's
Time
just
Master.
too weird.
I have pulled the card and it is the Time Master.
Alright, that was a good laugh. Alright, I think you prepared me for my Okay, Michael, that was hilarious.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like below. Also, leave your comments. Have some real fun with it. Subscribe to our channel where you're going to get more great videos, more interviews coming up. And check out our website, inspirenationshow.com. That's where you'll find tips, blogs, information, videos you won't find anywhere else, and useful and helpful resources to really help you kickstart your life and to shine bright. Thanks so much again. Thank you for your support. Like, comment, subscribe. See the website. Thanks so much and have fun. Of course, shine bright. Woohoo!